Hey everyone, happy holidays. It's Wendy Hutchinson. And for some reason, I felt like I should come on today and talk about um, or do a video about family relationships. And I think sometimes with the holidays, there's a lot of anxiety that builds up because for a lot of people, family gatherings are really incredibly stressful. And family members tend to show up as themselves, which can be so predictable and annoying sometimes. So I wanted to kind of hop on and I wanted to share a little bit about my perspective about family relationships. First of all of our family relationships are soul contracts. And we enter into these contracts long before we are born into this human life. And it's so interesting because our family members trigger us constantly. And that's where all the magic and awesome sauce comes with our soul growth. But it can be so frustrating and so annoying and so painful at times if you have contentious relationships or communication issues or abuse or trauma or whatever it is. And those family relationships really create false beliefs about ourselves. And I think because, we have this family of origin story, which I talk about in my book. And the family of origin story is our culture. It's our family dynamics and history and patterns and DNA imprints and ancestral wounds that kind of get passed from generation to generation, and our religions and our friend circles, our social circles, all of it creates this blueprint or imprint, I should say, on us. And we keep fighting to be accepted, and we keep fighting to be seen and belong to our families, to our friend circles, to our communities, our church, whatever it is. And in that need to belong, we lose our identities. And we often feel like we're outside, like we're on the outside looking in. And it can be really painful. I know so many of my clients have expressed that to me, that they felt like they were alone in this life, that they did not fit in, that they did not belong. I certainly felt like that myself. And when you feel like you're on the outside, you start to create stories that give you emotional comfort or explain to you at an early age why you don't belong or fit in with the family. And usually it's a story of not being enough. And so there's this worthiness piece that starts to form. And the worthiness piece is that we're unworthy. Actually, it's not that we're worthy, it's that we're unworthy and we don't belong. And the more that feeling grows within us, the harder we try to conform and fit in and mold ourselves to be accepted by people around us, whether that's in school, peers, our family, our parents, our siblings, our coworkers, whatever it is. I know so many of us, I think it's just the human condition, it's the programming that gets us to keep wanting to fit in. And I got to this point in my development of my soul where I realized that I'm not here to fit in. And not only am I not here to fit in, I'm not here to play the game. And I refuse to play the game. I refuse to accept behavior that is not respectful towards me, that does not support my journey or my life. I draw firm boundaries with people who have given nothing to the relationship, even if they're close family members, and then they expect me to sacrifice and support them. You know, everything to me is an energetic exchange. And so I've really created firm boundaries around what I'm willing to tolerate and what I absolutely will not tolerate. And one thing I absolutely will not tolerate is being disrespected by anyone, whether you're a family member, a friend, or considered a friend or whatever. If you disrespect me, we don't have a relationship. And I had to get to a place of tremendous inner strength to be able to start saying no to things and events where I had to show up. Let's say it's a family reunion, and I would show up, and all these people who honestly don't give two shits about me are going to pretend like they're really excited to see me. I'm very, very empathic. I'm very intuitive. So if somebody's telling, putting this fake smile on and pretending that they are so interested and happy to see me and so interested in my story, I know when it's a lie. I know when it's bullshit. And, I just got tired of playing this game. And when I decided to just choose myself and stop playing this ridiculous game and stop doing things out of obligation, I set myself free. I started to say no to events that I don't want to go to. I've said no to family reunions that I didn't feel like showing up for. And why did I do that? Because it cost me time. It cost me money. It's an energetic investment. And my energy is my currency. So my energy is so precious to me. I have decided that I will not spend one moment with somebody who's not being authentic and who does not have an authentic relationship with me. And here's the thing, guys. Every time we make a decision to interact with people who hurt us, and people who are in our immediate families are so good at hurting us. They know our every vulnerability. And if they are unhealed, no amount of your kindness and amazing awesome sauce is going to change the fact that they're wounded and they're going to project their wounds on you. So it's up to us to protect our energetic space and our emotional and mental health. So it's up to us to draw boundaries and say no and allow that person who's toxic or unkind or judgmental or constantly making you feel like this big, to feel their disappointment and project all their shit on you. It's okay if they start judging you and saying negative things like, you don't love me, you don't value me, you don't appreciate me. The people who need the boundaries the most are the ones that are going to create the biggest uproar when you start to say no. And the biggest thing you can do for yourself is respect yourself and honor your energy enough and your family time and the special sacredness of that. Honor that enough. If you are feeling a visceral, physical pull and gut punch when you feel like you have to go see certain family members, don't do it. And I'm telling you that because we get to choose what we invite into our lives. And we get to invite love and support and kindness and respect. And if we are showing up in the world that way, we have every right to expect the people in our social circle and family circle to respond accordingly and in kind. And I'll tell you what happened when I started taking my power back and I started saying no. And I stopped at no. I didn't have to give a long and lengthy explanation as to why this event is not aligned or this event or whatever. I just started saying, no, I'm not going to make it, because that was aligned and that's all I needed to say. I didn't need to defend. When you're in alignment and you make aligned choices, you don't have to defend the decision, right? So that's what I wanted to say about protecting your energy this holiday season when you feel obligated to go to events. I really, really encourage everybody to opt out if it doesn't feel aligned. Because when you act in accordance and in alignment with your truth, you're going to have the highest and best outcome for yourself and your family. So that's one thing I wanted to talk about families, because I know family gatherings can be really, really uncomfortable. When I was a kid, our family gatherings were huge. They were huge. And there was a lot of drinking, a lot. There's a lot of gambling. There was a lot of music. I'm just thinking back. I'm just thinking back to that time. It was like great, but a little dysfunctional too. You know what I mean? It's like good and bad. So I have all these interesting memories, but I digress. So that's kind of what I wanted to say about making choices around who you spend your time with during this holiday season and really treating yourself and your energy as sacred, because you are. And the second thing I wanted to say is people always show up as themselves. So if you're going to go to Christmas dinner and expect that really toxic person all of a sudden to show up and not be toxic, it's not going to happen. When people, they always say, when people show you who they are the first, believe them the first time, until people do their inner work and they do their healing, they will continue to show up as themselves. And I'm always surprised at how many people are offended when that annoying person shows up as themselves at a family event. And it's like, it's year after year. You guys, it's been 15 years. That drunk relative is still going to be drunk at the party, or that mother-in-law or sister-in-law or your mom or whoever it is that's kind of mean to you is going to be mean. And then, you get all upset about it. It's like, listen, what's coming. So don't get offended when it happens. Detach. You need to emotionally step back and go, okay, I know this is going to be a shit show and you're choosing to go. Detach. Don't be surprised. Don't react. Don't engage, just hold your ground and just step back. You don't have to open your mouth and respond. You're responsible for your feelings and how you respond to your situation. And we all have a choice to respond in a space of detachment, which means you don't engage in conflict. You stay away. You don't need to interact. If it's a large gathering specifically, you don't have to personally interact. Step back, detach, leave early. But all these things, what I really wanted to say is all these interactions with family members, especially the ones that trigger you so much, because we all have those, right? I had probably like a handful of relatives that just, oh my God. Before I went on my soul path and was able to like regulate my emotions and my response and come to an event with an open heart and a higher perspective, I would physically get ill thinking about having to interact with certain relatives in my family, like days before the dread would start setting in. I don't know if you guys have had that, but it was so true for me. So yeah, if you can find a way to just minimize your time or just detach and step back. But also, as you're going through these triggers, because it happens every year, right? You go to the same Christmas Eve meal or church service or dinner or whatever it is with the same people, and you get triggered. So I'm going to ask you to kind of take a look at what inside of you is being triggered. For me, it was always I was being judged and then not accepted for who I was. I was always being judged. And of course, I was judging myself and not accepting who I was. So, everything was a mirror for me. Every challenge and altercation, interaction that upset me, they were all such gifts because they were the mirrors for my own issues within myself. And I'm going to encourage you to pay attention to how you feel and like get curious, like, wow, what is really being triggered here? Because it's not the incident, it's not the offhanded comment or the person who's just out of control and wasted at the event or whatever it is. It's not that. It's really emotionally touching something in you that needs healing, right? So I hope if you do have a lot of emotion come up for you this holiday season at these events, that you get really curious, like, wow, what is it about this pattern with this person? Like, why am I feeling so defensive and angry and triggered? Because when we take it a step further and we kind of go a little deeper and dig and ask questions, man, sometimes you come to realizations and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm actually judging me. I'm actually not accepting me. And the people around me are just reflecting that back, And when I came to that realization, I realized I was guilty of doing the same thing to these people that they were doing to me. Like, they're judging me and I'm judging them right back. I'm in the fight. I used to be in it to win it. I would get in that fight. I would want to take digs. I would, I had no self-control. I was emotional. I was like a hot mess. I liked fighting, actually. And I'd fight to win. This is my ego. I don't do that anymore. But anyway, get curious if you feel like emotions building. And also, if something happens and your response is like a level 500, when the appropriate response would probably have been like 10 on a scale of 1 to 30, take a look at that. That is a childhood wound coming up, and that's deep, deep stuff that's coming up to clear. So be mindful of that. I want to talk about the third and final thing, which is how we relate to our children. And I'm happy to say that I'm in a really, really beautiful place with my sons right now. And it's such a gift, because there were times when we didn't talk to each other because they'd be mad at me for a long time. I've had long periods where each of my children have not talked to me because they were really upset with me. And so to be in this place of a healthy relationship has been really wonderful. But what I realized doing my inner work is our children are such incredible teachers for us. We think when we have children, we are just going to mold them and shape them and be the best parents ever. And the kids are going to be so smart and be the best kids ever. And then, you know what? Real life happens. And they challenge you. They challenge your beliefs. They don't conform. They don't want to be the person you want them to be. And nor should they have to, right? And I was able to really understand that these children are not possessions of mind. They are not here to make me happy. They are not here to fit in boxes they don't belong in. Because my desire to put them in a box was to make me happy and not them. And so when it comes to our children, and I know so many of you guys are awesome parents, you guys let them be who they are. You're not trying to control them. But there are a lot of people in my generation who are of the mindset that children should do what they're told and go to college and tick all these boxes and get a professional job. And There's no emphasis on individuality and allowing them to just follow their own path. So that can create a lot of frustration and anger and conflict when you're trying to force your kid to be something that they're not. So the biggest gift this year that you could give your children is the acceptance of who they are and showing up in ways that support them living as the fullest expression of themselves and not having to make you happy and not having to please you and do what you want. My relationship with my kids has just gotten to a place of such beauty and incredible deep love for each other and respect for each other, because I just took my hands off the wheel and I was like, hey man, go do you, whatever that looks like. I still love you. I don't need you to complete me. I don't need your accomplishments to be a reflection of me so I can go brag to everybody how awesome you are. I don't need that shit. I want my kids to be who they are, to thrive, to be happy, and follow their own path. And I want that for everybody, actually. I don't need to control the outcomes of anyone around me. I just need to focus on myself and be the best version of me every day that I can be, and hold space and be love and light and authentically hold space for everyone to follow their own path. So those are my 3 things. Be mindful of your energy during this holiday season. Be really mindful. When people show up as themselves, stop getting triggered or stop freaking out, because everybody shows up as themselves. That's what they do. That's who they are. So the fact that you're getting triggered means you should probably take a look at why you're being so triggered, right? For me, it was because I didn't accept myself and love myself and feel like I belonged. And so then I projected all my stuff. And then when you have 2 unhealed people projecting their wounds on each other, it's not a good outcome. I can tell you from personal experience. And the third thing is our children are our greatest teachers. Love them, support them, allow them to be who they are. If they are different, celebrate that. Because we are in a society that expects conformity. And in a world that expects conformity, there is no growth and no tolerance and no love and expansion. They just keep trying to shove kids in all of these rigid boxes they don't belong in. So celebrate your children, love each other, love yourself, and above all, create energetic boundaries that will support and lift you as a human, as a soul, and stop trying so hard to fit in boxes you don't belong in. You're worthy, you're beautiful. I hope y'all have a great holiday. And I'll talk to y'all later. Take care. Bye.